Well, as always, I'm in a mad thrash to try and get this thing done. I got a couple weeks to get it in this car, get it all put together, and get this thing on a trailer and headed toward Tucson, Arizona. As you can see, the motor's sitting here. It probably looks a little different, but it probably looks a little the same, if that makes any kind of sense. So I took that borrowed 390, which is brand spanking new, never been ran. But it had been sitting for 10 years. Let me qualify that. So I already knew I was gonna have to change some seals and, kind of freshen it up a bit. So what I did was I wanted to run my intake manifold because my car's already set up. It just all works. I don't have to fight with it. However, in wanting to change the intake manifold, then I realized the little drain back oil drain pan things inside the cylinder heads won't work with this intake manifold. So I thought, okay, well, I don't want to starve the motor of oil because that was a big problem back in the day because the top oiling design is horrible. So I went ahead and put the Edelbrock heads on it. When I had the Edelbrock heads, when I had the heads off, I was wiping down the pistons, checking everything looked really awesome. Good. This is going to be a good run in 390. I noticed that the front main seal wasn't looking too hot. Well, I mean, you can't really see it, but I figured, that and the oil pan had a dent in it from 10 years of sitting around being moved. So I popped the oil pan off. When I popped the oil pan off, I took a look inside there. Sure enough, it was pretty rotten. I touched it and it just cracked. So I thought, okay. So I banged the oil pan back out, the 2x4 and a hammer, stuck that back on, well, waited. I took the front drive assembly off because I was going to run my drive assembly because I want to get the air conditioning running. So this was already all stripped down and off, so then all I had to do was take the timing cover off. I already had the oil pan off, so I just took the timing cover off. While I was in there, I thought, you know what? It would be really cool to see how that camshaft that came out of that 428 actually ran. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to build this 390 exactly the way it should have been built on that 428. So basically it's all the parts from the 428 with just a 390 bottom end. So crank, connecting rods, pistons, 390. I think they're bored 30 over, but all stock 390 bottom end with all of the parts from that blown up, not blown up, but poorly assembled 428. So now we kind of get to see how that 428, I know you guys don't because you never saw the thing run, but I did. I experienced this car quite a bit. We fought with it and fought with it and fought with it, trying to figure out what was going on with it, until we finally pulled the motor. But so I get to see what these parts can actually do on a 390 base. Now the 428 is still out at the engine shop, the machinist. He's got it. I haven't heard anything back from him yet. I told him to take his time, but he's checking it over, making sure everything's good, letting me know how big we can go or what direction we should go. That way I can order parts accordingly. So I got this, I dropped that engine block off on Friday, picked this up, was back here by 1, 2 o'clock, unloaded it out of the truck, put it on the stand, broke it down basically, and then I figured, okay, Monday I'll come in and reassemble, right? No. Monday, now Tuesday, this is the end of the day, Tuesday, and I finally got it basically together. I still need to change the AC compressor because this one blew up. I got another one over there in the box. I need to send that one out and have it rebuilt. What I need to do, the thing's brand new. Probably just blew the seals in it. But This thing's pretty much ready to go in. I think I've got everything. I've got the fuel pump blocked off. All of this is built, torqued, sealed, ready to go. Need to change the AC exhaust. I'm gonna run just the manifolds for now. This car is gonna get those headers. These manifolds are so restrictive. It just blows out into a common, just straight line hallway port. Not good. So those headers will really help this thing breathe, but that's what it'll get with the 428. Not doing that now. So this is where we're at. It should look very familiar to you because, well, you know, it's basically that 428, because like you can't tell the difference between a 390 and a 428. They look exactly the same. So I built it the same as the 428. It's got all the same parts. Yeah, same thing. This was gold. This motor was originally built to go into a 62 Mercury or something. I don't know. Anyways, real early 60s, I think, Mercury. So it was actually painted, like the valve covers and stuff were gold. Engine block was black because in the early 60s they were black. The whole thing was done up era correct. And beautiful, ready to go. I could have just dropped it in the car the way it sat. But, you know, with some of the stuff that's actually in the car, like all the vacuum lines and the AC that I want to make work, and basically all the things, like I already had the power steering pump and everything. I really kind of just needed to strip that bottom end down and then put my stuff on it. 2 days worth of work. I was correcting stuff because remember, a really bad machine shop put all of these aluminum parts on. The guy who built the bottom end, he did a great job. It's all of this junk. Like I was shimming, grinding on shims, shimming on shims. That's what I was trying to say. But I was grinding on some of these shims to make them actually fit better. Because like these two here, they were too long, and it was all dirty right here. You could kind of see the misalignment still, like this pushes out too far. I should really trim those shims a little bit more and allow that to fade back in a little bit, but I don't know. I don't know what setup this is. I don't know if they just used it off some other motor, or I don't know. It works, just don't know how, you know, like I said, it was grinding on the belt a little bit right here, so I fixed those shims. That took a while. And then of course just cleaning everything. You gotta clean all the gaskets and make sure everything's, you know, blah blah. So anyways, tomorrow I'm gonna hook onto this thing first thing in the morning after I change that AC compressor because it's easier right now, and then I'm gonna drop it back in the car. It should go in pretty easy, the same as it came out. I got some exhaust donuts that I'll go ahead and pop on there new. Everything else should just pop right back in. As soon as this is in and bolted down, I'm gonna immediately jump onto the air conditioning boxes, get those wrapped up. I'll probably be going back to some of the boxes that were actually in it because I was looking over everything, and what I was noticing was that the boxes that were in it, even though they had the wrong rivets and stuff, they do look to be in a little bit better condition because this is a hard top and the other one was a convertible, and so the weather had really taken its toll on those AC parts. So really that whole car was just a complete waste of money, but I did scavenge a few good parts off of it. But really I wanted the AC boxes out to fix these ones, but I don't know. I just looked at it real fast. I exactly don't know what I'm gonna do. Anyways, I'm gonna come in the morning, drop this in, immediately start jumping into that AC. I don't have a lot of time. Time goes by very quick, especially for as hot as it's been. So I'm wanting to get this wrapped up and done as quickly as possible because I need to put some miles on this motor before I go taking it out to Tucson, Arizona in the massive heat and then running it up a drag strip. I'm not gonna beat on it, but I still wanna, run it down the drag strip, have some fun with it. That's the whole point of going out there. So anyways, guys, I'll keep you up to date, but I am thrashing along, so I don't have a lot of time for the video part of this. I will keep bringing you back in, and I will video as much as I can. And then I'm definitely taking you guys along on the duct tape drags. That was a lot of fun. I hope maybe, you know, some of you watching, if you haven't gone and you watch my show and see it, and it, you know, it's awesome. Hopefully get more people to go. There are a ton of people that go, believe me, it's not a lack of people. But if it was bigger and bigger and bigger, of course, it would be better and better and better. So anyways, guys, I will see you in the morning. Well, there you have it. It's the end of the first week. Left the flashlight on over here. That's awesome. Wondering why I'm always having to replace batteries. I think this is actually a rechargeable one. Or is this the battery type? Nope, rechargeable. Oh, that's good. Now eventually got to the point where I was replacing so many double A's. I couldn't take it anymore, so I ordered a bunch of cheapy rechargeables. Anyways, sorry. Tired. Got back to the car here. Let's get back to the car. Motor's in. I still need to replace the driver's side motor mount because I broke it going in because you know, the motor fighting it to get back in the hole must have gouged the threads, and then when I put the nut on it and then went to run it up with the gun, I gave it one too many ugga-duggas, I think, and it just snapped off. So no big deal. I got a motor mount coming. I'll just attach the cherry picker to the front of the engine and pull that side of the motor up, replace that motor mount, and stick it back down, and then that thing's done. As far as everything else is done. I think there's like, I think there's like one P-clamp that goes on one of the bell housing bolts that I missed. No big deal, I can fix that. Got the heater box in it. The inner box is in there, but it's a fight getting it back in, you know, just because of everything, honestly. That stupid the defrost vent thing is still fighting me. I made that tube a little bit longer. I don't know if you guys ever watched that episode, but I made that tube a little bit longer, which came back to bite me in the butt because now it's too big and it's can't collapse on itself. But it can. It's just, you know, it'll work. I'll make it work. But that's all reconditioned, finished, installed, most of the way. I have everything else is connected except for the air conditioning because of air conditioning. And then once I get these boxes in, so I get the interior box in, get the exterior box in, I can go ahead then at that point put the interior back together in this car. My goal is to be driving this thing by the end of next week, which today's Saturday. So that gives me, you know, technically like 6 days, but I'm not coming in tomorrow. So 5 days should be doable. The fuel injection's basically done. I'm waiting for the little control box. Of course, it got damaged during shipping, so yay on that. It was like $100. It's not that much, but still it's frustrating. You know, you pack everything up good and then you come back and the thing's broken. So I had to order a new box. I think that'll be here tomorrow. I have spark plug wires to do. Of course, I just ordered bulk wire. I'm gonna make custom wires all on my own so they fit right. Distributor's in and timed. The Hyperspark module is in, but of course it's not wired because the box that wires everything is broken. No big deal. So I got a little bit of wiring left to do on the fuel injection. The only other big thing I have to do with the fuel injection, which I haven't really tackled yet, is the fuel pump. I want to lift up the back of the car. So in the back of these, it's coil springs. It's a 3-link suspension, and so there's a big frame piece that goes across underneath the back. I haven't really looked at this car, but in my mind, just working on my 65 and stuff, I kind of know what it looks like. I'm hoping that there's room in there for the pre-filter, post-filter fuel pump, because you know you want to put those as close as you can to the tank. It also leaves me with the other hard thing to do, and that's to run the return hose. I was contemplating on how to do that. I don't want to have to drop the tank in this car. Of course I could. It wouldn't be too timely to drop the tank and drill it. And you know, Holley, they give you a really neat little AN fitting. You drill a hole. It's got a seal on it. You seal it together with a nut on the other side. So you'd have to pull the thing, put your arm in there, but no big deal. I don't know if I'm going to do that, or I was actually thinking that maybe on the filler tube I could drill a hole in that and then either weld a bung to it, like an AN bung, or even just drill it and put their little thread on doohickey thing in there and maybe have that work, and then it would just return into the filler tube. That way I wouldn't wreck a fuel tank. That you can still buy the 66 fuel tanks. They're reconditioned, they look exactly the same. The 65 tanks you can't buy. They don't make the 5, they only make the 6, which the frame in the back on a 5 and a 6 is slightly different. So the tank is shaped slightly different. I don't know if you remember my 65 video. But you can put a 66 tank in a 65 and it gives you a little bit more volume as well. So mine has a 66 tank in it. I do have two 65 tanks that are actually in pretty decent condition. I was hanging on to them because I wanted to maybe possibly take them out and have them coated and cleaned and, you know, reconditioned and all that kind of stuff, so I could actually put a 65 tank back in it. But, you know, I don't know, whatever. We'll see how that goes. But, so this thing's getting done. Little nervous, can't lie. I still have a lot to do. Obviously, there's no fenders, front end, bumper, hood hinges. That stuff is not too hard to complete. So if I'm like, you know, if it's Thursday and I'm done and then all I have to do Friday is put the front end on this car, hey, you know, that's great. I'm happy at that point. I think where I'm going to, my backup is the 65 hardtop. There's nothing wrong with that car. It's got a couple things that need to be done. The flexible hoses in the front, on the front brakes, need to be replaced because I don't know if you remember on the Power Tour, they got smashed, and so it kind of holds the front brakes on. The front brakes might be a little jumpy, don't know, just from, you know, possibly holding the brakes too long because the lines were crushed. I don't know. If they are, whatever, I can always replace the rotors later. But I do need to replace those brake lines, which I have them. They're in the trunk. It's got a slight little coolant weep up here on the overflow, which I need to, I was just going to take the fitting out, put a little bit of JB weld on it, stick it back in, good to go. Will never leak again. On that car, I think that's really about it. I mean, there's some little things here and there that I could do. That car would fit the event a lot better, definitely. But I think this would still be cooler. So I'm pushing hard to get this thing done. Really, once the air conditioning is back in the car and hooked up, which I've got, the inside box again is already rebuilt. The outside box is basically done. There's a couple things I need to do to it before I can put it in. The only reason I haven't done that is because I kind of want to do that right before I go to stick it in the car. So there's a couple vacuum bulbs and the evaporator that I have to put into it, and that's it. And then I just stick it in the car, bolt it in. Once that's bolted in and the inside one's bolted in and everything's hooked up, and then I can kind of relax at that. Well, still go quickly, but I'll be feeling a lot better about this whole thing once that's done. I do have to still make a high pressure AC hose, or at least modify this one. I'm not sure which one I'm going to do. So there's still quite a few things to do on this car. But again, I decided today that my 65 hardtop would be the backup if I can't get this car done. Because I did pay for the event, paid for the motorhome, paid for everything. So I'm taking something, whether it be this car or the 65. The 65 would be just as fun, you know. I really kind of wanted to take this one because it's, I don't know, it's a cool car. I don't know. And plus I was really kind of excited to see how this this Sniper fuel injection with the Hyperspark distributor was actually going to work, because that's just a Hall effect distributor, and then basically what it does is it sends all the information to the computer, and then the computer controls everything based on that, which is really cool. So it's all modern stuff. I really think this thing's going to rip now. Of course, I could be wrong. Maybe it's an absolute turd. I don't know. But the cool part is you know, finding out. So, but we're getting there. Just wanted to kind of give you a heads up on where we're at. Here, I'll give you a little walk around. And I've been just standing there talking, just like I always do. I mean, there's not really much to see. You can see the heater box. I went ahead and just went with the one that was actually in the car to begin with, because it was actually in really good shape, even though it's painted black, but it's up inside the fender, so you'll never see it. The AC box, you can see the inside one. It's not quite lined up, but it is in there. Fuel injection is all ran. So under here, again, except for the fuel lines, that's the only thing that's not run. The throttle's hooked up, the electrical's all hooked up, everything's hooked up, and so the electrical kind of comes across, and then everything plugs into that little box right there, and that's the box that's broken. So it got smushed, and a couple of the LEDs up top broke, and then the lid snapped and broke. So, and of course the LED that broke was the fuel pump telling you everything's okay light. So, oh, I do have to put the coolant temperature sensor in. It goes right down over here behind the distributor. This is the old one that was a dummy light from Ford. When you first start the car, it tells you whether it's cold or hot. That's all it tells you. It doesn't tell you what temperature it is. It just tells you if the motor's hot or cold, which is kind of dumb, but whatever. So I need to replace that because I need that coolant temp for the fuel injection. O2 is hooked up. It's down over there. So the fuel pump, I have this 3/8 aluminum fuel line down here, and that was what ran over to the fuel pump. Of course, the fuel pump's blocked off now because it's got an electric pump, and so my plan is to hook onto that line. I'll come up kind of in the stock location behind, probably in front of the distributor, just like it did back in the day. So kind of come up like my 65 and then go over here, plug in, and then come out of the back over there on the other side, go across to a pressure regulator, probably mounted up over there underneath of the throttle cable, and then drop that back into the return. And so you'll have your pressure regulator over there on the firewall with a gauge on it, so you can set the pressure. I bought those gauges for the Camaro, so I'll just use one of those for this. So that works. And then what I'm going to do for the return is I'm just going to run a rubber hose to the back of the car. At least for now. Honestly, I do see myself tearing this car apart and fixing. There's so much just hokey stuff about it. But, I mean, you know, that's my own issues of having to have everything be perfect. That's why I run into these problems where I'm just scrambling at the last second to try and get stuff done for events. But, you know, I don't know, it makes it fun, it makes life interesting. The interior, of course, I got the seats back out of it, center console back out of it, because I need that out so I can get to that box on the inside. Of course, you can't see the box, but believe me, it's there. And then, of course, I got to put the dash back together. All that stuff is just a couple hours worth of work. It's not that hard. Put the vents back in, put the little pieces back on, covers back on, eyelid over top, the gauges back on, you know, drop the center console back in it. There's like 6 screws, I think, that hold that in, and then a couple to hold the shifter, and then 4 bolts on each seat, and the A-pillar trim that needs to go back in. And I think that's it for the interior. A couple of the switches and stuff, headlight switches hanging down, the ignition switch, it needs to be finished and set back up. But, you know, so I got maybe, we'll call it 4 or 5 hours worth of solid work in this car to get the interior back together. So this is definitely not my big concern, getting the interior back together. It's more just making sure that I can get the air conditioning back in the car and operational. I mean, what's the point if I went through all that trouble to get the air conditioning done in this car and then put the car back together, you know, with no air conditioning? That's, you know, that'd be dumb. That's what I'm saying. Like, if I get to the point where I'm like, okay, there's just no way I can't finish this car, because I want that last week before, so the event is on the 27th, 28th, and on the 26th, I'm picking up the motorhome. So, and that's that would be a Wednesday, picking up the motorhome. Or is that a Wednesday? What is that? So that is a, let's see. Oh, 26th is a Thursday. So that give me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, at least by Monday, this thing has to be running by Monday. If this thing is not running by the 23rd, then I'm immediately going over to the 65, because I got a few things to do to that, and I need to button it up, and then I need to drive the car, shake it down, and make sure that it's ready to go. But I'm pretty confident that I can have this thing done by the 23rd. But I don't know, you know, we'll see how it goes, I guess. That's the fun part about all this. You know, if you've never done anything like this before, or you got some ratty car out in your driveway, you know, who cares? Go out there, thrash on the thing for like 2 weeks. You know, get the thing done, take it to an event. I'll tell you, it's a little stressful when you're doing it, because you're wanting to get it done. You want to go to the event. It doesn't always end up to where you make it, you go to that event. I mean, the 65 hardtop, I built that car to go to Duct Tape Drags last year. And on the last 2 days before we were supposed to leave, I had to call it off. At least for that car going. We still went. We just rode in my brand new Grand Wagoneer. But I was sad that I didn't take the car. But there was nothing I could do, you know? You can. I pulled the car out of an old lady's garage, built a motor for it, built all this stuff for it, redid everything, and it just needed more. The car was telling me, no, sorry, I need a little bit more from you. Of course, then I continued to work on the car, as you guys know. Took it to Power Tour 2023, blew up the transmission. The exhaust basically left the Power Tour in the first hour of the Power Tour, which made it absolutely miserable. I had so much exhaust fumes in the car, I felt sick. By the time I got home, I was absolutely dead. But the car made it. So, you know, look, if you've got a project car, you've got something sitting in the driveway, thrash away on it. Have a good time. Call up your buddy, you know, have a little thrashing party for your car. Get it ready for some event, even if it's, you know, some car show or something that happens once a year, or whatever the event is. I'll tell you, have a lot of fun. This really is a lot of fun. Doing it this way is stressful, yeah, because on the other side of it too, you know, this is the first event my son's ever going to go to. He's 3 years old. He is a little bit young. But I think he's going to have a really good time. It's going to be super hot. I'm a little worried about that part, how he's actually going to be, because you know how 3-year-olds are. But again, the reason why I want the car with the air conditioning. But I don't know. We'll see. So that's another thing. I don't want to fail, because I want my son to have a good time at this event as well. So get out there, try it. If you don't ever try, you'll never know. So I don't know. That's where I'm at on it. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. I'm going to wrap this week up, and then next week, that's it. We'll see what happens by the end of next week. So by the next episode, you'll know whether or not this car is going or not. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, until next time.